Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
Marcos City MP Greg Moss said the FNM MP's decision to oust Dr. Hubert Minnis as leader of the opposition makes no sense. We've got the details straight ahead on our news.
What happens to Butler Turner and her bid for Long Island? The Labor Minister says the country's labor laws need updating. And an update on Cable Bahamas restoration in Grand Bahama. Welcome to our news. I'm Kyle WALKINE. Thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight, the actions of those 7 dissident FNM MPs in the House of Assembly this past week made no sense, according to Marcos City MP and third-party leader Greg Moss. He said he believes the decision will only hurt the party in the long run. Dana Smith reports.
Wednesday's announcement by those 7 FNM MPs has sparked widespread concern about the future of the party and its chances at winning the next general election. The decision to oust Minnis came after more than a year of severe friction and discord among members of the FNM's parliamentary team.
I mean, this makes no sense. You're going to have a schism in the FNM as a result of this. A crevasse, a divide beyond measure, because you're having certain persons say, notwithstanding what has happened in the party and in the convention of the party, they have a different view and they will affect a different outcome.
Moss said once the Governor General signs off on the letter, the House of Assembly will see a situation where the leader of the opposition and the leader of the Free National Movement will be sitting on the same side of the House.
So what is now going to happen? The leader of the opposition will be appointed, Loretta Butler Turner. She then has to communicate to the leader of her party that he needs to vacate the opposition's physical office across the street. So she occupies that and kicks out the leader of her party. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Moss, whose United Democratic Party recently joined with the People's Movement to form an entirely new third party, said the situation in the FNM is one that he and his supporters have been decrying for some time. And he accused the 7 FNM MPs of focusing more on their own personal interests rather than those of the country at large.
This is what we have been pointing to, this idea of personal political interests outweighing the interests of the people. It's time to get past that. There are serious issues. We have an incompetent government leading this country. And nonetheless, people are not being able to put aside their differences for the good of the country.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Dana Smith.
Thanks, Dana. Well, now that Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis has called for the Rebel 7 to resign as members of the party, where does that leave the Long Island MP? Loretta Butler Turner had already been ratified as the FNM's candidate for Long Island. Well, Thursday evening, she sent out a message to her constituents that there is a plan and that she would not neglect them. But now that the call for her resignation as a member of the party has been made, FNM Deputy Leader Peter TURNQUEST says finding a new candidate for Long Island won't be hard. We spoke with him just after Minnis made the call.
Well, let me just say this. We have a number of quality candidates that can very easily slip into place if necessary. The party, as the leader outlined, has a process that it will go through to make these determinations. And once that process is done, whatever course of action needs to be taken will be done.
So the party will not support Ms. Butler Turner?
As I say, the leader has outlined the process. The Central Council, at the end of the day, will make a decision with respect to the future of those members, and if necessary, the appropriate action will be taken.
Butler Turner is set to be sworn in as opposition leader tomorrow afternoon. Dr. Hubert Minnis had called the crew's letter to the Governor General an act of God, saying if it had happened after they had won the upcoming election, the FNM government would have been destabilized. TURNQUEST agreed.
But, God has his way, and it works how he designs it to work. But it's a renewal of the Free National Movement and a renewal of politics in this country. And that's what you've been seeing, even with this remarch movement. You're seeing a renewal, new people coming into the process and demanding change. And that's all you're seeing manifested. Obviously, I'm disappointed that colleagues have taken the position that they've taken. But again, it's all part of the process. They take a particular view. They're all strong personalities in their own right. They see it a different way than the rest of us see it. And at the end of the day, we are the Free National Movement. Our leadership has been elected by members of the Free National Movement in a democratically called convention. And we're busy about taking care of the business of this party, getting prepared to take over the governance of the country.
But what about the FNM's chances of winning the 2017 general election? The FNM deputy leader feels they still have a big chance at pulling it off.
We're very confident that we are developing the best plan, visionary plan for the future of this country that is going to take into account all of the needs of the young people in particular, the future of our country, as well as look at stabilizing our middle class, which is under threat at the moment. We have a lot of opportunities in this country. We need new, fresh ideas to take us confident that when the day comes for Bahamian people to go to the polls, they will elect the Free National Movement, and we will form the next government of this country. We have no time for all of this, backbiting and pettiness that's going on. We're about the serious business of developing the plans for the future of this country, and that's what we focused on.
In other news, in the wake of the termination at One and Only Ocean Club earlier this week, Labor Minister Shane Gibson insists there is need for major amendments to the country's labor laws. He said the Bahamas can't get to the point where companies feel they can do as they wish to Bahamian employees without repercussions.
I am meeting on a tripartite council. I spoke with the chairman no longer than this morning. He promised me faithfully that he would have some recommendations to me by next week. I've been asking for this now for over a year. See, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
On Tuesday, 61 people were terminated at One and Only Ocean Club. The firings came just weeks before Christmas. At that time, Gibson called the event sad, but in talking with our News in Parliament, he said if anything else is fixed during this government's term in office, it must be the country's labor laws.
Initially, the minister had the power to just introduce amendments after consulting with stakeholders. Now, we've introduced social dialogue, right, which we've legislated it, which means that I now have to wait on recommendations from them, and then I could tweak it and modify it as I see fit, but a recommendation must come from them. And so I've been asking for it for over a year now.
Gibson says the wait has simply been too long.
And so hopefully I'll have the recommendations next week, and once I have the recommendations, we could do what is necessary to strengthen the labor laws.
You think they need to be amended?
Oh, no question about that.
Well, Cable Bahamas teams are still in Grand Bahama working around the clock to restore services to that island. The company currently has 13 teams in the field, and an additional 7 teams are expected to arrive next week. The teams, complete with personnel from New Providence and affiliate companies in Florida, are said to be focused on repairing downed lines and fiber feeds, as well as improving signal quality across the island, 2 months after the passage of Hurricane Matthew. This week, Cable Bahamas technicians are expected to complete fiber installation in Queens Cove, where the company experienced widespread damage to its infrastructure. When our news returns, how the DNA leader feels about an increase in government hiring right before the general election. Stay with us.